expect to see Daredevil everywhere. That is a direct quote from Charles Murphy at Murphy's Multiverse, of course, a super reliable source that we talk about all the time here on the channel, who basically just dropped a bunch of news about Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock Daredevil in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, who, if you haven't seen it yet by now, I mean, what are you doing with your life? But Spider-Man No Way Home, spoiler alert, even though we already knew it was happening. But anyway, Charlie Cox, he makes a cameo in the movie as Matt Murdock, Peter Parker's lawyer in that film. And it was only one scene, it was just a quick cameo, but still, that was his introduction to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and everybody was super excited about it. But then, of course, we had some other big stuff in that movie as well. But now Daredevil is officially in the MCU. So what is next for this character, especially considering we also just got the return of Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin in the Hawkeye Disney Plus series? Well, like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, according to Charles Murphy, he's going to be popping up everywhere in the MCU within the next couple years, leading up to him getting his own Disney Plus series, or at least project. We assume it's going to be a series, could be a movie, we don't know for sure, but Charlie Cox is here to stay as Matt Murdock Daredevil in the MCU. So Charles Murphy just dropped a bunch of little tidbits about different pieces of information about Daredevil's role in the MCU in the coming years. So we are going to go and break it all down here, and I do want to give a spoiler warning. If you don't want to know anything about any of this, if you don't want to know about like him having a surprise cameo in any of this stuff, then probably turn away now. But this is some stuff I'm really excited for because I love Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock. I love him as Daredevil, so I'm excited to see him in the MCU. And the next place we're going to be seeing him pop up is in the She-Hulk Disney Plus series, which, first of all, we've been hearing for months now that those have been some big rumors, specifically that he's going to pop up in his Daredevil suit with the classic yellow and red suit, which I think is going to be pretty cool to see. But it just makes so much sense because, Matt Murdock is a lawyer. Jennifer Walters, who becomes She-Hulk, is also a lawyer. So it makes sense just given the fact that this show has been described as like a legal comedy, and we're really diving into that lawyer side of things in Jennifer's life. It makes sense that we'd see other lawyers as well, like Matt Murdock. And Charles Murphy mentioned specifically that he's going to have a huge role in the series. It's not going to be just like a quick cameo like he had in No Way Home. He's going to have a huge supporting role in the series, which again explains why he's going to be suiting up as Daredevil in this project, which I think is going to be so cool, specifically with him in that yellow suit, which I did a video on a couple months ago, so definitely check that out if you haven't already. Next up after that is going to be the Echo Disney Plus series, which we know, of course, is going to be a spin-off from the Hawkeye Disney Plus series. Maya Lopez, played by Alako Cox, was introduced in the series, and she's getting her own spin-off on Disney Plus. And Matt Murdock is going to have, another strong supporting role in that series, which makes a lot of sense considering in the comics, he is so heavily tied to her character. And just listen to this exact quote from Charles Murphy. Quote, Echo's journey will lead her back to New York and Kingpin, and her path will intersect with Murdock's along the way. Wow. That's, again, it makes so much sense that we're bringing back Matt Murdock, we're bringing back Kingpin for the Echo series because they're so connected to those characters. It just makes so much sense. And I'm going to be really interested to see how Daredevil actually ties into it, especially considering that in the comics, he's more so involved in the story before she finds out that Kingpin is responsible for her father's death, but that already happened in the Hawkeye series, plus then she also shot him in the face, and now we know he's going blind. I don't know, I'm just really excited to find out, but it is great to see that he's going to be popping up in that series and have a huge role. There's even been people saying that it's going to be basically kind of a Daredevil series, like Daredevil Season 4, but with Echo as the lead. But now we have some actual specifics that's vague but specific at the same time, because Charles Murphy mentions that Matt Murdock will appear in at least 2 projects in 2023 as Daredevil. So what could those projects be? We don't exactly know what's coming out in 2023. That's next year. It's kind of crazy to think about, New Year and everything. But next year, he's going to be appearing in 2 projects, which we know the movies that are coming out. Obviously, we've got Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, Captain Marvel 2, aka The Marvels. I I don't remember if we know anything else, but we know Blade's coming. We know Fantastic Four is obviously coming. So there's some big movies coming. But what about the Disney Plus series? Because Charles Murphy also mentions that there are rumors that he has not been able to confirm, but it is likely that he will have some sort of role to play in Moon Knight, Armor Wars, and Ironheart. Now, again, he specifically mentions that he has not been able to confirm those, so just consider those as rumors for now. But it would make sense. You know, when I first read that, I was like, him popping up in Moon Knight and, like, Armor Wars and Ironheart? Wow, how is he going to fit in there? Well, considering his scene in Spider-Man No Way Home, Happy Hogan was in that scene, and we know that he still works at Stark Industries with Pepper Potts, so even though it hasn't been confirmed, I'm assuming he's going to pop up in Armor Wars, so maybe, you know, he says in that scene, you're going to need a good lawyer, so maybe Happy Hogan gets Matt as his lawyer. That's something that could possibly happen, but then again, you take into account the ending of No Way Home with, you know, everybody forgetting who Peter is, so I don't know if that's still happened, but yeah, that's definitely interesting to think about. Moon Knight, I don't know about, but again, like, just given the fact that he's a lawyer, it just opens up so many possibilities if he can just pop up in so many different projects just to be a lawyer for people for literally just one quick cameo scene. But the big one on this list that I am most excited to talk about is Spider-Man 4. Charles Murphy mentions that while nothing is set in stone, it is extremely likely that he will appear in Spider-Man 4, with all parties behind the scenes being already interested, which the film could make it into theaters for late 2024, which is pretty interesting. Taking a couple years off, but then getting back into it, and this is something I would love to see. Especially if it was more than just a cameo like he had in No Way Home, and have a huge supporting role, because I want to see a team up between Spider-Man and Daredevil going against Kingpin, and then you can maybe even throw in some other more street-level characters in here, some more street-level, like mobster Spider-Man villains like Hammerhead and Tombstone. I think that would be so cool to see, especially considering where we left off No Way Home, where now he's going to college and things are more grounded because he literally made his own suit and he like sewed it and everything. So we know things are going to be more grounded going into this next trilogy of Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. So I think this would be a great way to do it, especially considering that he met Matt Murdock in No Way Home, even though Matt Murdock probably doesn't remember that. They still met, and I think that would be really cool to play out in this movie. Now, finally, of course, the big one is that he is going to get his own solo project in the MCU. We don't know if it's going to be a series or a movie, but Charles Murphy does mention that is just in the early stages of development, and it is 2 to 3 years away from actually releasing, which makes sense, and, you know, sure, it sucks, like, Daredevil ended like years and years ago. It feels like such a long time ago, even though it was like almost 3 years ago. It's going to be another 3 years basically, which, I mean, hey, we're getting him popping up in all these other projects, so that kind of makes it worth the wait and can kind of tide us over until he gets his full project, but it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm going to be really interested to see if it's going to be a continuation of the story from the Daredevil series, and if it basically does go on to be Daredevil Season 4, but without actually being Daredevil Season 4, because, you know, that's a Netflix show, or if it's something where it's like reboot, like maybe the same things happen, but like they don't directly mention it, or if they just start completely over. I don't exactly know what's going to happen, but I know that I am definitely excited and hyped up to see more Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock Daredevil in the MCU, because apparently he's going to be everywhere, and I'm so excited for it. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about this news, and what project are you most excited to see Daredevil appear in the MCU? So guys, thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and hit the subscribe button so you can keep up to date on everything goes on in the Marvel life.